We've got another exciting show for you today, and I'd like to get right into the heart of the matter by introducing my two guests. On my immediate left, I'd like to introduce the distinguished Gus Hazor, member of the Gamma Theta Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, located here in Wilmington, Delaware. And to my far left, I'd like to introduce Miss Geraldine Purnell, president of the local chapter of Kappa Alpha sorority, located again here in Wilmington, Delaware. Gus and Jerry, welcome to Straight to the Top.
Thank you.
Before we begin the show, I'd like to just take a moment to acknowledge those who have lost their lives, who are injured, and who are missing as a result of the tragic events that took place in our country this week. Amen. Okay, let's get right into it. Alpha Phi Alpha, Alpha Kappa Alpha. Gus, who are the Alphas? When were you started?
Recognizing the unavailability of many perquisites the white classmates enjoyed at Cornell University at Ithaca, New York in the year 1905, 9 black male students established a social study club. And 1 year later, from that club, 7 of those members gave birth to the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. And that documented the establishment of the first black college fraternity of record. And Alpha men all around the world today affectionately and reverently refer to our founding fathers as the 7 jewels.
And how many founders were there again?
There were 7.
Okay. Geraldine, do you mind if I call you Jerry?
No problem at all.
Okay. Who are the AKAs? What year were they founded and where were they founded?
And the AKAs were founded at Howard University in Washington, D.C. in 1908. And Ethel Hedgeman had the vision, the idea of to bring women together for a sisterhood and also to service the community, to make the community a better community in which it was down at Washington, D.C. at that time.
Okay.
And she was a lively person, and she called together 9 young women, and they also had her same vision with her, and that year it was established, and 7 other young ladies were also interested, and they also joined the sorority then. And we have been working very hard since 1908.
1908 and 1906. You guys have been around for a long time.
Oh, yes.
Gus, who are some of the more distinguished members of your fraternity?
Well, there are many celebrated brothers of the past and the present. Just a few. Paul Robeson, Congressman Adam Clayton Powell, Congressman Bill Gray, Ambassador Andrew Young, Mayor Emeritus of New York City, David Dinkins, Mayor Emeritus of Atlanta, Georgia, Mayor Emeritus of New Orleans, Louisiana, Dutch Ernest Moriel, and incidentally, Ernest's son, Marc, is Mayor of New Orleans at this time, and he too is an Alpha man. Comedian Dick Gregory is an Alpha man. Senator Ed Brooke is an Alpha man. And the late Justice Thurgood Marshall was a man of Alpha, as was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, those members, they were not of our chapter, but we have many distinguished members from our chapter also.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second.
Right.
Jerry, who are some of the more distinguished ladies of your organization?
Well, some of the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha, we have Dr. Mae Jamison, who was the first African-American astronaut. We also have Rosa Parks, Coretta Scott King, Felicia Rashad, an actress. Also, right here in our community, we have Channel 6 commentator, Lauren Wilson, and Senator Margaret Rose Henry.
Okay.
And again, to go back nationwide, there, I don't know if I mentioned Coretta Scott King.
Oh, okay. Alphas.
And Maya Angelou, let's not forget her.
Okay.
She's also an Alpha Kappa Alpha lady.
So Coretta Scott King was an AKA, and her husband, Dr. King, was an Alpha.
Right.
Okay. What are your goals, Gus Hazor? What are your missions? What are the Alphas about Why were they formed, and what are some of the things that you're doing right now?
Well, you've got to remember that in 1906, that was only 41 years after the Civil War. So there was overt malignant racism in this country. So even though there were 9 men on the campus of Cornell, they were locked out from all of the Greek letter organizations and societies. So that was a major disadvantage for them. So they saw the need to establish a fraternity to enjoy the fellowship that is available in a fraternity, and also to render service in concert with like-thinking men. And that was the reason Alpha Phi Alpha was established.
Jerry?
And similar reasons too, since it was 1908 at Howard University. Like I mentioned before, the ladies on the campus wanted to do something for the community, and so they wanted to develop a sisterhood, and they brought that sisterhood forward.
Okay.
And Alpha Kappa Alpha and also other sororities don't necessarily stay on the campus. When you graduate, it continues on to graduate chapter.
Okay. Okay. Gus, there's a question for you. What are the aims of Alpha Phi Alpha?
The aims of Alpha, first of all, to develop the individual to be all that he can be and to serve the community. Our motto, first of all, servants of all, we shall transcend all. And of course, historically, we were the first college black fraternity on record. And then we are dedicated to service, to serving all people, particularly youth. And even though that vitriolic racism, hatred does not exist today, overt cryptic racism is still there. So there's still much for us to transcend. And we're in the business of accomplishing those 3 objectives of our motto.
Okay. Jerry?
We seem to have similar
Okay.
reasons for being here. Our motto is also service to all mankind, and we make sure that we do serve the community. And in our local chapter, Zeta Omega in Wilmington, Delaware, we focus on targets. We have 5 different targets that we focus on, and it's a target of education, health, economics, the black family, and the arts.
Okay, we're going to go into detail on that, but I'm curious. Jerry, there are many other black Greek letter sororities. Of all the sororities that you could have chosen, why did you choose to become a member of the AKAs? Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, you are. I chose to become a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority because I saw it as being having high standards,
Okay.
high moral characters. Your women of Alpha Kappa Alpha have high moral character. We stress scholarship, and we also stress sisterhood. And again, we give service where it's needed, whether it's
Okay.
in our community or whether it's worldwide. And to add something else to it, growing up, Alpha Kappa Alpha, I have women in my family. I'm from a legacy of Alpha
Oh,
Kappa
really?
Alpha. Yes, my sister. I have 3 nieces. I have a cousin and a cousin-in-law. We're in Zeta Omega, and that's my legacy.
Did you pledge at the undergraduate level or at the graduate level?
No, I pledged at graduate level at Zeta Omega chapter, 1981.
And, okay, you just answered my next question. How long have you been affiliated with the organization? Because why did you go Alpha? Why didn't you pledge one of the other fraternities?
Well, Alpha to me represents a philosophy of which I can relate, a philosophy of living. I think that it dictates that one must develop himself, one must have self-discipline, and one must be dedicated to serving others. And for those are the major reasons that I chose Alpha. It appeared to me that Alpha was in the foreground of doing these things, of first of all, of having good fellowship and serving others in many different areas.
Gus, what year were you initiated into the fraternity?
I was brought into Gamma Theta Lambda as a graduate member and I think it was 1959.
So you're new at this thing.
Yeah, just a little while, yes.
Listen, question I wanted to ask you. This society, this country has changed a lot since 1906. We've gone through the civil rights era. We've gone through the Jim Crow era. Now the focus appears to be on economic development. Have the alphas played a role in the various changes that this country has seen?
Alphas have played a major role in the civil rights movement and many other positive movements in the nation. Our brother, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he led the civil rights efforts, as did Brother Andrew Young, and many other of our brothers have been out there in the foreground. There are many who have been behind the scene working and accomplishing things. So Alpha has always been out there. And today, many Alpha men are engaged in the battle of human rights for all people.
Very good. Jerry, let's come back to you. You mentioned 5 points. What are you doing in the community, and who do you serve?
Okay, from our 5 targets that I mentioned earlier, let's start with education.
Okay.
In education, we work with the debutantes. I think many people in the community know about our debutante program.
For those who aren't.
Well, I'm going to say.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We're going into our 52nd year of having the debutante program. We've had mothers who their daughters are coming in now, and some granddaughters are coming in. The debutante program, we work with young ladies in 12th grade, seniors, and we start with them in September, and we go through until the culminating activity naturally is the ball, which is usually held in March and maybe sometime in April. We have various programs with them concerning the different choices that they will take in their future life and for careers. Also, we have health programs.
Excuse me for a second. Give me a for instance.
For instance, of careers, we have a career workshop. We would have different Alpha, Kappa, Alpha women and some women from the community who would come in to speak with the debutantes concerning their various careers. For instance, we have Dr. Phyllis Chambers, who is an Alpha, Kappa, Alpha woman. She's an ophthalmologist. Optometrist in the community. And we have other sorority members who are in the corporate world, and they would come in. We have biochemists and sorority members such as that. And we give the young ladies an opportunity to express what type of career they want to go into.
Okay.
We've also gone on college trips with them. We deal with health issues. We also have
when you say college trips, what are some of the places that you?
The places we have gone: Delaware State.
Okay.
Usually pretty local.
Local.
University of Delaware, Westchester, because we